Dying here, guys. It's gonna take a while to get through this. We have a few ground rules that we hope everyone can abide by to give the candidates ample time to answer your questions. First, to the audience, we would appreciate it if you would refrain from talking or shouting out so that everyone can hear the questions and the answers. Hold any applause till the end of the meeting. Anyone found not complying will be asked to leave. Please be courteous and have respect for the candidates, your fellow neighbors, and the moderators. Candidates, you will have up to 3 minutes to answer a question. Please stand when answering your question. Keep your answer on the subject of the question. If the question can be answered yes or no, that is the response that we want. Any question we receive that is directed to a particular candidate, we will ask that candidate. All other questions will be read, and then we will draw the name of the candidate to answer that question. If there are no questions on the rules, then let's get started with the questions. Remember, respect for each other goes a long way. We'd like the candidates to stand up, introduce themselves, and tell us how long you've been a resident in Brookridge. Ann?
I've been a resident for almost 3 years in Brookridge.
And your name?
And your name?
Ann Nutter, Unit 6.
Thank you.
Val Stratton, Unit 3, and I've lived here for 12 years. Lucille Mcguire, I've lived here for 7 years already. Unbelievable. That's it.
What unit are you in?
I'm sorry?
Unit number?
Unit 4.
My name is Jerry Foster, and I'm in Unit 2. Been here about 7 months now.
Hi, everybody. I am Sheila Brutchka. I believe I'm in Unit 4. I'm not sure. And I've been here for almost 2 years. Hi, my name is Millie Bernier. I'm in Unit 4. I've been here for 7 years. This is my second time coming into the community. I was here before in 1994 through 2000.
My name is Yale Metcalf from Unit 6, and I have been here for almost 7 years.
Vincent Bruno, I'm Unit 6. I've been here for 6 years.
Larry Good, Unit 3, been here about 8 years.
First question is for Ann. And this is taken from your resume, Ann, and I would like to know what you mean when you say keep the money in close eyes. No.
I think just 3 minutes, right?
I didn't catch the first part of the question. The comment was that I took this from what you said in your resume, and you made the comment that you would keep the money in close eyes, and I wondered what you meant by that.
I think that, as you can see from Richard's report this evening, that we are under budget right now. We did not spend all the budgeted money, which I think is phenomenal, because we have the COVID. We're not getting our money from the clubs that come into our beautiful clubhouse. And I think that we're doing a terrific job. People are not spending money, we're not wasting money, and we're keeping our eye on our finances.
Thank you.
Vince Bruno. On your resume, you had, you wanted to be a team player. What constitutes team player ethics?
I think being able to work with the board itself and the people to see and hear what they want and what has to be done.
Just 3 minutes. I gotta do
Next
it.
question for Val. There are people in our community that are delinquent with their HOA fees. What would you propose to the board and the community to resolve this dilemma?
Well, first, are we notifying these people that they're delinquent? Because every 90 days, you're supposed to do a report that says how many people are 90 days delinquent. We might not be because of COVID, and I'm not certain about that rule, but I think we should look at making sure that they're notified, and then, if necessary, follow the guidelines of the government, because with COVID, rules are different at the moment. Once that is lifted, then we have to go back to the rules and regulations and proceed. And if making a payment plan for them works, then, we got to institute that.
I have an additional question on that subject that came from the audiences. Would it be legal to publish the addresses in the news and views of those who are delinquent?
I'm not a lawyer, so I won't give a lawyer's opinion. That would be something that we'd have to ask. However, I know on the agenda, it does list their UBL, so you just gotta get smart about UBL.
Thank you.
Larry Hoos. You stated in your resume that you would like to help neighbors. What ideas can you share with us right now on helping your neighbors as well as the residents in Brookridge?
I think there's many elderly people that don't have anybody that goes and check on them at all. I know where I live, we've got, 3 right close to me that, check on, and I think that's something that we all could do. And if they need help, they need to go pick up groceries for them or something like that, and you're capable of doing it, I think you should be able to go out and do it. Thank you.
This is for Lucille Mcguire. What are your goals to accomplish while serving on the board? You only have 3 minutes. What are your goals that you hope to accomplish while serving on the board?
Well, most importantly, and I brought it up last year when I was a candidate, I want to promote transparency, and being able to respect each other when people are talking about their concerns, not making light of anything, and getting to the answers. As long as it's within the limits of what can be talked about. That's my 3 minutes.
No, but thank you.
Now it's 30 seconds, so that's okay. It was a good answer.
Jerry Foster. Please stand.
Uh-oh.
On your resume, you state you have an associate's degree in accounting. Recently, it was seen on a social media platform that the budget for 2021 shows a deficit of $120,000. Can you tell us where the budget shows the deficit of $120,000?
Well, that was pretty easy. On the budget itself, when you look at the one line that says 27,000, that was the bingo. That money was not here. not coming in. Another line up there says miscellaneous, 22,000. Where's that money come from? It's not on there. So when we talk about the budget in this place, you realize everything on that budget, when you look at that back page or that front page, is $220,000. Every bit of that money is not here. It's not accounted for until the fines are levied, until the fees, or whether it be making copies, it could be the liens, all that stuff. So basically, you have to come up with $4,000. The budget shows $220,000. And you have to come up with $4,000 a week. So how do you do that? You gotta find somebody.
Okay,
you gotta put liens.
you're getting off the question now. Thank you.
This is for Sheila. You have on your resume that you want to make Brookridge a safe and enjoyable community. What would you do to increase the safety and enjoyment in our community?
Well, first and foremost is try and see what we can do about the speeders on the boulevard. Come up with I do have a few ideas in my head that we possibly can run past the board and everyone. I love it here. I've been here for a very short time, but I am willing to give it my best, and whatever is needed, I will be there.
Yale Metcalf. In 2020, the residents of Brookridge voted you in to serve on the board. After 2 months in 2020, you resigned, and now in 2021, you are asking the residents for their vote. What kind of assurance can you give that you will fulfill your term?
I was on the board for 2 months, and there was nothing short of bullying on next door from people in the street and with the board of directors that did not want to work on Brookridge things. They wanted to just go after me for things that should never have been in public. And my health suffered because of that, because there's only so much that you can take. Since that time, I have regrouped, and I am very confident now. If I didn't feel confident that I could be on this board for 1, 2, or 3 years, I certainly wouldn't be standing here now. But this community needs to have a board going in a different direction, and that's what I feel I can do.
Thank you.
To the mirror.
Okay, this is Bernier. Thank you. I understand that you're very committed to the Marine Corps League and do a lot of important work for them. But it takes a lot of your time. So after your appointment on the board and the time you serve, do you feel that you have enough time to devote to both of these?
Yes, because the work that I do up there at the Marine Corps League, plus I'm in the auxiliary in 708, I divide my time. We have a lot of meetings that go on here, and I make sure that this comes first. That always up there, I always can get somebody to run bingo or do this or do that. So I'm not 200% committed to them where I would be committed here, because this would be my job. And it'd be my pleasure to serve. Thank you.
we have some questions from the audience. Jerry Foster. After reviewing your resume, you did not list what you could contribute to our community if elected to our board of directors. Is there anything you feel you could contribute as the director if elected?
Oh, absolutely. I believe we need to have town hall meetings, at least 2 of them a month, and 2 board meetings a month. Have open communication with the residents here in the community, get their ideas. Let them have a part in making decisions, not where things are like, well, like, we'll take the RV compound, for example. Everybody here should have made a decision on that, not try to be stuff being forced down their throats. And that's where the community comes into that, should have a say-so on everything that goes on in this community, not just decided by 7 people sitting on the board.
Hold your applause till the end of the meeting.
Tell them again. Tell them again.
I read the rules at the beginning. I said, please hold all applause till the end. I'd appreciate if you would do that.
This is a question for Gail. This is from the floor. You were accused of misappropriation of $124,000 when you were president of the BCPO. What are the facts concerning this accusation?
Thank you. The facts are, the information that was written to the state was totally untrue and unfounded. When this went to the state sent a letter to the other 2 people that were also, 3 people actually, that were also named, the general manager at the time, Ron Ross, and Rosemary Bastieri. We gave the information right from our audit to the state, and the state has not done anything about it. It has been 2 years, and I personally take offense to that because I can't believe someone would call me a thief. And there was not $1 out of whack. And I want you to know that when checks are made, they go in a PO order to first goes to the general manager, make sure that it's within the scope of our jurisdiction, goes to the bookkeeper to check the exact amounts. Then it goes to the account clerk who does the checks, and then it has to have 2 signatures on it. The treasurer first, and if there is a check to me, I would not be allowed to sign it. So I'm glad whoever asked that question, I don't know if you were tripping me up or not, but it's about time that the truth came out. Thank you.
This question wasn't directed to anyone in particular, so I'm gonna draw out a name. Yale Metcalf. If you get elected to the board, what will be the first task that you tackle to improve the community for the residents?
The first task?
The first task.
Okay. The first task is to review everything that has been done for the last year, especially the funds that have been used. I would make sure that the funds were used properly in the right line item, and there are items that were not part of the budget that cannot be used, especially if it's over $2,000. So that would be the first course, because I think that this community, I know this community
wants transparency over everything else. And it was always an honest and open discussion when I was on the board before. And we also put all of the checks into the news and views. You have not seen that since August.
Thank you, Gail.
Okay, I'm drawing a name because this is not, this is for Lucille. What is the most important document that controls the actions of the board?
Important document.
What is the most important document that controls the action of the board?
Well, basically, the state has statutes for this kind of community. And then we have our rules and regs that should accommodate those and not be against these statutes. And I consider that very important to follow. If the board is not following it, they should be held accountable.
Okay, so the question is the most important document.
Okay, the state statutes on governing our
Okay,
community.
there's more than one. You're aware that there's,
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be able to name them all, but I do feel that once we're familiar with them, we need to follow them. If there's been any variance from it, we need to get back to it. One thing I mentioned last year, and I'll mention it again, that there are a lot of things that have been changed throughout the years. I don't know all of them because I've never really seriously looked at it. But I thought, somebody brought it up last year, but she's no longer living here. She thought that probably using the workshop to go over all our rules and regs and come to a consensus about what is not appropriate at this time and what is missing, and work on this together as a community, always following the statutes from the state.
Okay, we got another generic question here. Rosemary's not here. And Nutter.
I was almost asleep.
Who is responsible when a renter has a pet and the pet is a pit bull and the pitty attacks a resident walking his or her pet? It happened to me yesterday. Renter has no insurance at all. I have to cover my damages. How do we as a community deal with renters who break the rules? Pit was not leashed.
Well, if people break the rules and they're in our SOP, then we go to code enforcement, violation, and suspension. But a pit bull, I believe, is the sheriff's department to call them, because we have code enforcement. We cannot arrest that person. We do have a leash law, and that dog should have been on a leash.
for Mary. Who has the authority,
Here's the
sorry,
honey.
who has the authority to request a forensic audit that's not budgeted for the board or the residents? And if it isn't budgeted for, how is it paid?
Who we asking?
Millie.
Really?
Okay. I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Who has the authority to request a forensic audit that's not budgeted for? The board or the residents? And if it isn't budgeted, how is it to be paid?
Okay, if for some reason it is requested or required, I would imagine that it would go before the president and your general manager and your treasurer, to find out exactly what has to be done, who's gonna be doing it, and how this is gonna be paid. If it's something that is out of the realm, then this is something that they would have to budget into the following year, because if it happens during the same year, unless it's an emergency, then it can be funded. But it would have to come for a vote, and all parties would have to sit down, the president, general manager, and your treasurer.
Sheila,
Sheila.
do you favor term limits for the BOD members?
Yes, I do agree with term limits, absolutely.
Thank you.
I know. We need to buy them quieter when we set it. Where's my phone?
This one's for Vincent Bruno, please. Where do you stand on charging for any of the amenities in Brookridge?
An amenity isn't charged for, that's number one. And in the past, that they put on there that an amenity would be functions that we go to, the dances, that is not an amenity. We pay for those dances, so therefore it is not an amenity. The pool is an amenity. The object is only so many people can go in it, just like anything else. Only so many people can go into the pool. So many people can play tennis. So many people can play shuffleboard. Those are amenities. So therefore, you don't, an amenity is not charged for, but anything else that you have to, that the board owns and the property is owned by the board, it is not an amenity that they have free reigns over.
There's another question on this particular, so I'll stay with you if you don't mind. Where do you stand on removing some benefits from the VCPO part-time employees who got these benefits for many, many years?
Well, number one, I don't know how it is in other states, but a part-time employee does not get benefits. A part-time, can we stop this?
Yes.
I mean, we're trying to talk and we're getting notions from here and words. You just did. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Number one, no part-time should get paid for vacations and sick leave. That's number one. What was given in the past is the past. This board is looking not to pay that kind of money, giving out well over $25,000 in payments of vacations and sick leave. Now, it just went up, the wages just went up, I forgot how many cents, 47 cents. And in September, it's going up to $10. We don't have that kind of money to give part-time. So therefore, we didn't take anything away from them. We didn't take their jobs away. We didn't take any of that away that was put on the media, the social media. They still have their jobs. Keep it that way. They work 5 days, they're 5 days off. Some work 3 days, some work 3 days off. That's the way that goes. But no part-timers, you get that kind of compensation.
This question's for Yale Metcalf. As a resident, we have recently been made aware of a lawsuit involving Brookridge community and Florida real estate. Since this is a matter of public record, Do you know when this lawsuit was initiated and under which board did this occur?
First of all, any lawsuits are under the jurisdiction of lawyer confidentiality, and we do not discuss that. That being said, I can tell you that it was done in 2018, when you know, of course, that I was president. Myself, the general manager, Ray Giroux, were both named because we happen to be the president and the GM of this community. Any lawsuits that come in this year, and there are always some, there might not be any right now, it is always the president and the general manager. Now, if this had happened now, Mr. Keller and Ms. Webster would be on that. I do know.
Okay, you've answered the question. We don't have to go any further. She wasn't staying on the subject. All right.
We'll clear the hall. I'd like to see some of these videos actually.
These questions are yes or no questions, and, they're for all of the candidates. So all you have to do is say yes or no, and we'll start with Ann, and, you know, I don't think you can stand up for yes or no, okay. So, do you favor term limits for board members?
Do I think what?
Do you favor term limits for board members?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. No.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Number 2 is, do you believe that people at the same residence serving on the board at the same time is a conflict of interest?
If they're both on the board?
Yes. 2.
Yes, I do. No, I don't.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
No, I don't.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Okay, number 3. Do you favor keeping the present terms of office for the board members' most votes 3 years, second and third votes 2 years, and all other candidates 1 year? Was that clear? 3 years, 3 years for the person receiving the most votes. The second and third most votes get 2 years, and all other candidates 1 year. Do you
Yeah.
favor keeping that?
I do. No, I think we should go back to the way it was when I was on the board in 2000.
How was that?
That's a yes
Oh,
or no
yes or no,
question.
I'm sorry, just yes.
So no.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the fourth and last question is, do you favor changing the resume deadline from December to November so that the information can be published in the January News and Views?
I want to say no, just publish it the month that you get the resume.
But, yes or no?
No.
Change it.
Yes.
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 No. Yes.
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 Okay, that's all of these questions. Thank you very much.
At the end of it,
Yeah.
are we done?
No.
Oh, okay, oh,
No,
no,
that's the
I'm sorry.
end of the
Oh, okay,
Yes
sorry.
and no.
I'm sorry, okay. Yes and
Okay,
no,
this,
okay.
question is, for Jerry Foster. I feel the things that you said about Brookridge on a public forum next door and held meeting outside of Brookridge gave us a bad image. How do you think this is helping our community?
Well, for one thing, it gives people a say, people get a voice. And they don't get a voice here in meetings like they should get a voice. But at least out there, they can come up with ideas and they can say what they feel and talk about things and know they're not alone in this. And two, the biggest problem this community has is people in this community, they're afraid to come out of their homes and do anything because they're afraid they're going to be retaliated against, and that should not happen.
I'm reading the question. This question is to Gail. In November and December 2018, a property was quitclaimed to BCPO and then quitclaimed to a different owner. The rules and regulations stated that the bidding shall be done by sealed bids only. However, the R&Rs were changed without a vote by the board to say, if the sale is performed by sealed bids, why wasn't this property put up for a sealed bid? And why didn't the board change the rules and regulations at a public board meeting as is proper when the intent of the rule is changed?
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're referring to. I would have to know which property it is because I'm not aware of any properties that were, if they came to the BCPO, we have to put everything on sealed bids. And I did maybe 7 or 8 sealed bids that I can remember, and I'm not sure what you're referring to.
I'm just trying, next year, she was on my topic too.
This is for Larry Hoops.
That's Dan Alderson. She wants another.
Speeding and other traffic problems, failing to stop at stop signs, ignoring parking regulations, etc., have been with us for a long while. Enforcement of speeding rules is particularly lacking. An expensive laser speed monitoring device is not being utilized to its full potential. The community has been fortunate to have avoided serious injury to this point, but our luck cannot continue indefinitely. As a member of the board of directors, what steps would you take to alleviate this problem? How would you go about bringing speeding under control?
Well, we have the radar detector, everything, so people are, if we're using it, and I don't know if we are not now, and it's being reported to the captain, then it would go to the ABRC, and they would be fine. I don't know if we're doing any of that now or not. I honestly, I don't know.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, at the beginning, we handed out 2 questions to everybody. We go down the line and let everybody read their answers. Why do you think you deserve a position on the board of directors over one of your running mates?
I have expertise from 2 years being on the board, 2 different boards, totally different boards. I've worked with different people. I want to say that during the beginning of the COVID, when the admin office was closed to the residents, I got a very extensive learning curve from what the residents here go through every month, be trying to get barcodes, trying to pay their HOA fees, trying to get permission to build a fence or whatever. I also, to touch on the speeding, I'm a walker, and I am adamant about trying to get this under control. Speeders not stopping at stop signs. I think we need to form a committee, and we need to get out there. It's not just that they're violation. There's people with dogs here. There's people that are visually impaired, and I'm proactive. We need to nip this in the bud before someone gets seriously injured.
Thank you. Val?
That was the first, we're just doing the first question?
Well, she ended up answering both of them.
You need another one?
Go ahead, Val.
Am I supposed to read
Read
what I
you're supposed to read
wrote
what you wrote.
only?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, past experience on the board, also had worked on teams, clubs, committees with several residents to provide a community event.
So that's the first one. Are we gonna come back for number 2?
Yes.
Sorry, are we gonna come back for number 2?
Yes.
Okay, I was looking at it this way, that would I be deserving of the position more than anyone else? Also, I didn't realize it was what your experience. I've never been on the board anywhere. I've been involved with, other, okay, I'm gonna read what I wrote down.
Yes.
I put, the most qualified should be elected, but all members regarding voting be serious to weigh everybody, every candidate, and their background regarding such. And I hear now the rumor would be that is what I would hope for.
Okay, thank you, Lucy.
I'll reiterate what I said earlier. I believe in having open communication with the residents by having town hall style meetings and letting the residents decide on money matters and what the rules and regulations say.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, since I'm the newbie in this place, this is what I learned. I don't think I'm any better than anyone else in here. I feel everyone is equal. But I would like to make a difference, to continue to make Brookridge a great place to live.
Thank you, Sheila.
I'll see if I can read my own shorthand. Okay. Every one of the candidates brings different ideas and experience, some more than others, some less. But if you're given the opportunity, which I hope I am, to be an asset to this community and the board, and the biggest thing I've heard all night is transparency. And you need to have transparency. We're all homeowners here. We all pay our taxes. We all have needs and wants, some more than others. There may be things that the board can take care of immediately. Some things might have to be tabled, but transparency to me is the most vital thing, being that I've been in public for 29 years and you had to have transparency. You have to be honest. You have to
Thank
be
you,
honest with the
Melly.
board.
You're saying more than you wrote
I'm
down.
sorry.
Italian New Jersey girl, that's what it is.
I have a great respect for the office of the board.
I was a director for 3 years, president the entire time. We brought integrity and transparency. I knew all of the positions and the employees, which helped me to be a better president. I have worked with a $55 million budget on my school board in Massachusetts and 15 years as a town meeting member. I love Brookridge, and the board is supposed to be, our actions are dictated by our bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
Mine is fairly short. For the past 5 months that I've been on this board, I've learned a lot about our HOAs and its workings, and working with the people of this park.
Thank you, Benny.
Okay, this will be short and sweet. I believe that, there should be new opinions and thoughts on the board. I have learned by experience, and this will be a new chapter in my life.
Thank you, Larry.
This was not directed to anyone, but I drew Jerry's name. At least 4 candidates were recently on the board and resigned something before their terms, prior to the end of their terms, and not for medical or emergency reasons. Why should we trust that they wouldn't do it again?
Well, that's a good question. Me personally, I'd like to sit down, if I was on the board, I'd want, or talk to these people individually, find out what their reason was. Whether it's something they didn't agree with on the board. Maybe their opinion was totally different. Maybe they quit for that reason, or maybe they could have been forced off. I don't know the answer to that. The only way you can get it is get both sides, and get information from both sides, and then figure out what's the right thing to do.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the second question that we've given. What is one thing you would personally do to improve our community? And we'll start with Larry this time and work this way.
Hallelujah. I think there needs to be more open dialogue so the community knows what is going on. I think there should be hold a town hall meeting off the record to try to get answers to questions. If people have questions and they don't ask them in the board meeting or don't get an answer, do it in a town hall. Maybe whoever is running the town hall can get the answer for them and get back to them maybe in the following week or month, whatever.
Thank you, Larry.
To be upfront with the people and to let them know what they expect from me.
Thank you, Vincent.
You know I'm a rules person. What I will do to improve the community is bring back goodwill and common cause to achieve and maintain a stable, congenial place to live, which is one of the most important objectives of the ECPL, which is in the bylaws.
Thank you, Gail.
What is one thing you would personally do to improve our community? Work in harmony with the residents and the board. To listen, most importantly, to our residents, have open public communications, And if at all possible, we do have board meetings and we do have general meetings. I think there should be a different kind of format so that residents, not only can they, put their questions when we have board meetings and general meetings, but there's got to be a different kind of dialogue to actually listen to our residents.
Thank you, Millie.
To work together as a team and work on the most important issues first.
Thank you, Sheila.
Well, mine is point blank, it says have an open door policy, which means board members answer phone calls when they get called. Doesn't go through a third party person. And our board members up there are talking about open communication and listen to us. Well, they didn't listen 2 weeks ago when they were trying to pass.
Put your mic like that.
Okay.
They didn't listen 2 weeks ago when they tried to pass an ordinance.
Jerry, you're saying more than you wrote down.
Okay, with the word transparency where it's necessary to promote inclusion. That's the most important.
Thank you, Lucy.
Member participation allowed and their concerns brought before the board as motions if action is required.
Thank you, Val.
I'd like to have the residents be in some form of workshop with the board member and discuss things in small groups, not large, out of control and whatnot. I think that we should have that.
Thank you, Ann. Are there any questions from the audience that was not turned in to us?
Hi, my name is Richard Sapp. I'm in Unit 6. I'd like to know how the members feel about government and sunshine. What we've, microphone, please. Microphone, please.
Hello. Richard Sapp, Unit 6. I'd like to know how members feel about Corona and sunshine. From what we've observed, the board has already made up its mind, already discussed all of the issues. When they come here, they vote, they don't discuss. They simply give their assent to any questions that come up. So I'm interested in this point of view. Thank you.
Who would like to answer that question? Val?
Okay, I agree. I think that the board business should be talked about at the board, not behind closed doors in small little groups, so that they keep it legal. That's what a board meeting's for, is to discuss the business, the pros and cons, the disagreements or whatever should be at the board meeting.
Thank you.
Russ?
Yes or no question for anybody on the board, anybody that's running. You can hear? Yes or no question for all of the candidates. Do you support the right of any resident or lineal descendant as described in our bylaws, right to speak under member comments regarding any subject at any board meeting or workshop as described in Florida and Brookridge bylaws and Florida state statutes? Yes or no?
Did you know?
Would you like me to repeat it? Can you hear me better than you could hear Ron? Do you support the right of any resident or lineal descendant, as described in our bylaws, do you support their right to speak under member comments regarding any subject at any board meeting or workshop, as described in Brookridge bylaws and Florida state statutes?
Yes or no?
No. Yes.
At the workshop meeting?
Any meeting.
No.
Yes.
Yes. No. Yes.
No. Yes.
We have one more name and one more question. Although, well, maybe this is a question for all the candidates. Which takes precedent in SOP, HOA, bylaws, or Florida state statutes? Which takes precedent in SOP, in HOA, or HOA bylaws, or the Florida state statute?
HOA bylaws. Florida state statute 720.
Florida state statute.
Florida state statute 720.
Florida statute 720.
Florida statute 720.
Florida statute 720.
Florida statute 720. Florida statute 720.
Want to thank the candidates.
We have
for
one
all
more.
their- Oh, okay.
Supervisor, Unit 4. For those of you that said no to an open questionnaire in the board meetings, why can't we express how we feel? For those of you who said no.
Because we'd be here all night, every night. Some of the questions are redundant, and we have to be structured. If you want to submit a question, you can submit it to the office, and we can, read it. But we're not saying that you can't, we're just saying that you have to go according to the rules. You have a question, put it down on a piece of paper, and have it sent to the office, and we'll read it as correspondence.
Then what is the purpose of a board meeting if a member cannot address the board?
They can. We're not saying you can't, you just have to go through the right way.
You know, you're saying that we have to go through change. We have to put in an order to the office, and who knows when it's going to get addressed? When
It'll be at the next meeting.
and we have questions, we would like to answer to that question, whatever it might be, right or wrong or indifferent. We need to know what's going on, and we want to know now.
Bring it as correspondence, and we'll discuss it.
But you're saying a month from now or a week from now,
No.
not tonight.
I'm not saying that, don't put words in my mouth. But you can go to workshops like the other gal just said over there, Tuesdays. You can have your conversations.
I'd like to interject.
Well, you weren't the only one that said no. I'm sorry? There were 3 other of you who said no too.
Your name is Vicky?
Yes.
Okay. We have rules and regulations, and we also have standard operating procedures. And there's an SOP
for board meetings. Every board meeting agenda has member comments. This present board might have changed that, but that is the way it's been for as long as I know. Those questions have always been answered by the next board meeting. That is how our rules have always been. The board can change rules and regulations, and they can always change the standard operating procedures. But I will agree with you that that is the way it was always done. And there was always an answer by the next meeting.
Right, now last year or so, every time we've had a board meeting, they said members, not a lot.
It was said that in the last board also. You had to put it on, if it wasn't on the agenda, you couldn't speak. And the prior board to that was that way also. So we haven't changed anything.
I've been here 12
All
years.
right, I think this is enough on this conversation. Let's give a big hand to our candidates that's running for the board. Thank you, audience. Hope that sheds some light on our candidates to help you make a better decision on who you want to vote for.
Linda Wall.